Hi, my name is Sophia and this is your channel. I am Sona. Today, I wanted to take this opportunity to speak about one of my favorite energies on this planet, which is the energies of Saturn, which are going retrograde today. And so we may all find ourselves more deeply inspired to take attack our first, after a long thought out time of self-reflection, particularly since it's been stationing direct and slowed down incredibly since the 26th. It may have given you an opportunity for to begin to put into place some of the structures that are going to allow you to navigate this very fluid environment that is boundaryless environment that is Pisces, as Saturn takes that back splash into its retrograde motion and asks that we review and reconsider and revisit a lot of what has happened in our lives since it first took a dive into the Pisces waters of the collective unconscious. And I have said a mouthful in just those few sentences. How do you even begin to unpack that? So, as you know, retrograde in Pisces carries the significations of blending that restrictive, um, disciplined energy that is Saturn with the more intuitive qualities of the Pisces directive, which is really about merging and the collective unconscious. And during this time between now, the 30th of June today, and it's stationary direct motion, which will happen in November, mid-November, November 15th. We're going to have an opportunity for some deep self-reflection on the state of affairs and what has transpired over the course since Saturn went into Pisces, and how it's been tearing down the boundaries of our lives and the limits that we had set. And many of us may have experienced some um, violation of our space, or lacking lacking in the direction of security, because there's this boundlessness and this merging that happens with the collective in Pisces, which is the illusion, the smoke and mirrors. Things are not quite what they appear to be. And when we reach out to actually feel some concreteness, it dissolves between our fingers and we don't know where we stand. And that's the energy of the Piscean directive. Remember that Neptune is also there. So the waters are deep. And within these waters exists what is called the sea monster Cetus, which is the Kraken, and the Kraken lives, and it rears this little ugly head and makes us experience, or nothing makes us anything actually. We, out of our own insecurity, will experience, self-doubt or guilt or any of those emotions and those illusory waters that are Pisces. And so our boundaries are lost, and we don't know where we begin and the other person ends. And we start to take on um, a lot of the emotions from that collective, wherever that is in your own life. And as a result, it can leave folks feeling rather confused and lacking in direction, because it all dissolves. So this time of spiritual discipline that we are being offered to actually anchor ourselves in a practice and in routines that best serve ourselves, the the spirit within ourselves. You can't pour from an empty cup, is what I often say. And we the water has just been pouring through, and it's been, going everywhere, and where do I begin, and what belongs to me and what doesn't, and what is not an accurate reflection of where I stand. Am I judging others? And as you judge others, so will you be judged. You are the measure of man. And so if you're judging others critically, then there's a feedback loop with the environment that becomes all too evident in Pisces. And so we find ourselves being judging ourselves through that same lens, and perhaps even punishing ourselves, because it is the sign of the martyr and the savior. Pisces it sits on that axis with Virgo, which is the Christic axis. The Christ is born in the arms of the Virgoan directive. And in Pisces is the suffering. And how are you taking on the suffering of the world? And how have you allowed that to divert you from your own? And so now we have an opportunity during this retrograde period to reevaluate our spiritual beliefs and to become more deeply anchored in our practices, so that we can pull through this time and set better boundaries, or set boundaries that actually define our space and define who and what we are, at our core. And the core is solid. The core exists within you and your own understanding of who you are, outside of the expectations of the collective, right? And still have the compassion and the empathy for the collective and the collective suffering, but understanding where that begins and where it ends, where you're concerned, is very important. Setting boundaries, the boundaries blur on the Piscean directive, and it leads to challenges in distinguishing what we feel, who we are, and where we stand from the others. And I'm not othering people here. I'm just simply stating that, there is my experience of life and my understanding of who I am. And then there's the experience and the understanding that others have of their own life. How beautiful it is to arrive in a moment where you can respect that without taking it on, and with the same degree of respect that you have for your own freedom to make your own choices. And so having the sensitivity and compassion for the other is going to be super important at this time. We're also going into an emotional healing and emotional release of all the things that do not belong to us, that we may have identified with while we've been swimming in this ocean of the collective. And so emotional healing, these old wounds, especially those related, as I said previously, to fear and guilt and victimization. And, where do we, where and how can we begin to become self-responsible, so that what's happening out there doesn't become what's happening in here to us? How do you take responsibility for your own emotions, so that you're not blaming others for the things that you're experiencing, or for the things that you're feeling? You are your own gatekeeper, right? And how do you guard or keep that gate and provide guidance for yourself through your spiritual practices, so that you become more solidly grounded and integrated with, and not find the need to allow these holes to permeate your aura, that allows for these energetic frequencies from the collective to penetrate and cause you self-doubt. Or not cause you, because nothing can cause you anything without your permission. So how do you more readily take responsibility for where you stand, and let go of the need to blame, release the emotional baggage that you've been carrying, that disallows for you to take full responsibility for yourself? This is this is going to be hot and heavy into the summer. And as we know, everything grows in the summer. And this is just happening right after the solstice and that amazing full moon, which was quite the sidestepper right there, where we actually had to get our bearings and our grounding so that we know, so that we recognize what it is that we are mothering within ourselves and within the other also, because Cancer is the sign of the mother. So what are you mothering? And also the creativity and the dreams are going to be lit until, way past November, but because Saturn, which is a concretizing force, Saturn cannot do anything to you. You are Saturn. You have to own the archetype, that archetypal energy of limits and obstacles and challenges, though that is your own belief system. And until you gain full understanding and take full responsibility for that, it's always going to appear as if, as if things are being done to you. And in the ocean of the collective, in Pisces, you're going to feel everything to the 10th degree, and you're really going to believe that people are hurting you. Well, nobody can hurt you without your permission. Why is your aura so open to the activities of other people that you cannot take care of yourself? And this is exactly where practices like meditation come in, because meditation works because it allows for there to for some space to be created between you and your thoughts, you and your experience, so that you can observe it. You can observe the thought, and you can know that that thought doesn't serve me. I'm not going to get on that little train of thought and have my attention diverted and have my mind reproducing events and scenes that no longer serve me. Why would I do that? So that's where practices, self-care practices come in, like yoga and meditation and pranayama and eating the right food, so that you're working with the best energy potential within your own physiology. The gut is a brain, and your heart is a brain. How are you feeding your heart? How are you being creative with your life? These are all super important topics to look into during this time. Journaling is super hot right now. It's always, as is any art form, whatever that is for you. If it's dancing, movement, if it's singing, voice, if because it's through the power of the throat chakra that we get to manifest our highest and our best. And these are all art forms, and art forms are highlighted in Pisces, because here we have the creativity of water, right? And water can form into any shape, and it can take on any vehicle for expression. Water in motion, right? So creativity, your dreams, and escapism is also possible and likely self-undoing. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac, and it's the house of imprisonment, hospitalizations, seclusion, isolation, particularly with Saturn in Pisces. And this would be a good time for some of that seclusion and isolation, so that you can review and do due diligence to the directive, to the Saturnian directive, to look within and to reassess the value that these different energies have in your life, right? And really come at this from a place of spiritual honesty and emotional honesty, profound emotional honesty with yourself, so that you can let go of those things that no longer serve you and move forward with some solid determination and solid structures within yourself at your core about where you're going and what you're celebrating moving forward, because there has been a lot of illusion that we have cloaked this rather painful scenario that's been taking place in the collective. And we've been looking around, and we know what's going on out in the world and we can feel it, and so it's been very personal. And so now we have an opportunity through the stillness within to see through the illusion and to reclaim our sense of sovereignty, which is super powerful and something that's Saturn retrograde lends itself to quite easily. So grounding in your spiritual life force energy, claiming the I am that I am, claiming, I am the greatest of them all because I am not separate from the one, is the opportunity that you have between now and November 15th. And for as long as you're on this planet and evolving, that opportunity always exists. But the ingredients for creating that possibility and evolving to that next stage within your own evolutionary process becomes all the more available to you during this retrograde season. So as we're going into Neptune going retrograde just on the 2nd of July, which is going to shatter through many of the illusions and many of the things that we have adopted and believed in because we were too afraid, perhaps, to look at the reality of what's happening in our lives and in the lives of this entire planetary system, the Earth and our companions, throughout the solar system and the galaxies. We have an opportunity here to really bridge ourselves more deeply anchored in a true expression of our divinity, of I am the greatest. And so I am wishing everyone so much success as we move through these karmic lessons that will become all too obvious in the next few months. Take out the popcorn, sit back, take real good care of yourselves, and practice meditation, practice self-care, take time out to play with your toes and just be on your own, write poetry, perhaps a great practice. Writing songs, poetry, stories, any of that is so supported during Pisces. Anything that has to do with film is also supported. And be solid in your resolve to move through this move in with and through that great I am. Okay, so I think that that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope that it has given you some sense of direction as we move through these very uncertain times that are about to get a little bit more grounded, thanks to your effort to rise above. Good luck. Take good care of each other and yourselves. Until next time.